Good morning. Good morning. It seems that folks are getting food, which is great. Thank you, Lamar, for the introduction. As Lamar said, my name is Erin. I go by she, her pronouns. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here this morning. I am proud and honored to be with you as the new executive director of SMYAL. Before I tell you a bit more about what brought me to SMYAL, I want to acknowledge my predecessor, Sultan Shakir. Sultan's leadership over his 7-year tenure at SMYAL built a firm foundation for the organization to grow and thrive, programmatically, financially, and through the team he built. Thank you, Sultan, for the fantastic leadership and vision. Thank you. I am stepping into this new role at such an amazing moment of growth for the organization. At this time last year, we had just opened our clinical services program, and we are already at capacity and have the need to expand. As of this past spring, SMYAL is now the largest housing provider for LGBTQ youth in the region. Earlier this year, we launched a new scholarship program called Sophie's Live Out Loud Award. This, along with the Youth Leadership Awards, which were founded by our major donor, Neil Starkey, have now provided financial support to nearly 50 student leaders. In June, we expanded our Little Smiles program nationally to provide a much-needed community to LGBTQ youth under age of 13, and this remains one of the only programs of its kind in the country. Yes. This summer, we welcomed nearly 100 young LGBTQ activists from across the country to our National Rise Up Advocacy Conference. SMYAL does not shift and expand our programming or do what we've always done just because. We make intentional decisions to create comprehensive programs and pivot to meet the most pressing needs of our queer and trans youth. That is why this fall, in response to the community need, we've launched a new bilingual outreach program, which has further filled gaps in services in our area. I mean, wow, let that all just sink in for just a moment. I have been asked often in the last few weeks, why SMYAL, why now? I wake up every day with a commitment to fiercely pursue the idea that everyone deserves an opportunity to build a life they love and a chance to feel celebrated and affirmed for exactly who they are and are meant to be. Thank you. Over the course of my career, I have worked as a licensed therapist, and I have fought for access to safe and affordable housing for all youth, but specifically queer, trans, and youth of color. I believe housing is a human right, and access to safe, affirming care, whether mental health or community care, especially for queer, trans, and non-binary youth, is imperative to living their best life. And it was SMYAL's commitment to this same philosophy that drew me to the organization. To go back just a few years, I often say that this work found me. As I was finishing graduate school, pursuing my license in professional counseling, I found myself interning at a transitional living program on the south side of Chicago. This was my first time working with young people, and the first place I came face to face with the reality of what it meant to be a service provider. I wanted to help, to solve, to save. But what I failed to realize early in my career was that people we work with are not cases to manage. They are people to engage with. One of my first memories working there was an early morning where I was sitting at the front desk when a young resident, let's call them Rochelle, came downstairs asking for some toilet paper for their bathroom. I smiled and made a joke. Can I get a good morning? Can I get a hello? Before they went straight about their business. Rochelle seemed a bit put off and annoyed, and quickly turned away and went on about their day. It was later when meeting with my supervisor and recalling what happened, I was able to reflect on the unique situation that had occurred. At that moment, Rochelle did not know me, nor had any reason to trust or engage with me. I was a means to an end of asking for a very basic need. I realized and profoundly understood the impact of my actions and assumptions. My intent was to engage with Rochelle, But in actuality, I was asking for something from them that was not mine to ask. To have to ask for help and receiving a basic need is not and should never be something that should demand respect in return. I have carried this interaction with Rochelle with me through over my 20 years of direct service, and it served as a constant reminder in my work shaping housing policy. It is through our actions we prove who we are, how we will show up for queer and trans youth in our community. From that moment on, I realized to demand respect just because is a privilege, and one that I had to earn through showing up consistently, honestly, and authentically. At SMYAL, we believe in that kind of authenticity and radical acceptance for queer, trans, and non-binary youth. We believe in transformational relationships and co-creating solutions with youth, where they are the architects of their own lives, supporting them and unlocking their potential for what they envision for themselves. When advocating for queer, trans, and non-binary youth, we need to ensure our systems work for all youth. We are actively recognizing and centering intersectionality, and we are creating a culture of accountability. When queer and trans youth are seen for all the unique things that embody their humanness and not just the acceptable and tolerable parts, we see leaders, we see creators, we see entrepreneurs, we see helpers, we see a friend, a neighbor. We see a human who is able to thrive and be their true, authentic self, which is absolutely breathtaking. I was born and raised in Texas and most recently live in Austin. Although I don't claim the entire state, it is my family's roots. As a queer woman, having lived, worked, and raised a family there, I am all too aware of how unsettling and unpredictable of a world we live in, both politically and socially. It is imperative we are supporting queer, trans, and non-binary youth now more than ever by addressing critical issues that affect our youth. Across the country, legislation and policies are being proposed that not only target queer and trans youth at a critical moment in their development, but attack their families and support systems. These bills are a part of an anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric that seeks to roll back years of progress towards equity and inclusion, all behind a smokescreen that claims to want to keep youth safe. Scrubbing LGBTQ+ topics from curriculum won't keep you safe. Threatening doctors and parents with legal action for providing trans-affirming care won't keep you safe. Barring trans and non-binary youth from sports and requiring them to withstand genital checks won't keep them safe. As an organization that has been working for nearly 40 years to support and empower queer and trans youth, we have heard every slur pointed at us and every argument against our community. We have also seen the real-world consequences of criminalizing LGBTQ+ identities and discriminating against young people. If we want to talk about keeping youth safe, let's create environments that support their self-discovery. If we want to keep youth safe, let's equip parents and caregivers with the tools to help their kids navigate the process of growing up. If we want to keep youth safe, let's believe young people when they tell us who they are, whether they are 6 years old or 24 years old. If we want to keep you safe, let's invest in them, listen to them, and let them lead the way. And SMYAL does just that. Queer and trans youth have been here, they will always be here, despite the efforts to shame them into hiding. At SMYAL, we will never stop doing what is right, what is necessary to support queer and trans youth. We will continue to be steady and fearless advocates, celebrating and affirming them every step of the way. For each and every individual in this room, it is our responsibility to continue to fight for freedom for all queer and trans youth and their right to bodily autonomy, freedom of expression and choice, and ultimately who we all choose to love. You are here today because there is something personal that draws you to this work. It is with deep gratitude that I thank you for not only investing financially, but for continuing to consider how we can expand the notion of freedom, specifically for trans, non-binary, and youth of color. Just as I've been asked why SMYAL, why now, I invite you too to reflect on your why. What motivates you to be a champion for LGBTQ+ youth today and every day? Thank you.